So I hope you people are able to see my screen. I am providing few of you to give you the access. Also, please raise your hand whenever you have to ask any questions over here. I will allow you to talk at this point of time. Anytime, whenever you would like to ask any questions. Okay.
Yes,
So let's get.
you.
Okay. Okay. Also, I believe you should be able to see my screen as well. Right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So here, once again, what I'll do is I'll go through with the course content, the course schedule first. I believe most of you should have attended the demo session. How many of you have already attended the demo sessions, like previous or the last demo sessions at least, where we talked about um, installation part? How many of you have attended?
Yeah, I was attended all demo classes.
Yes, I
At
have
least the
attended all
last.
the demos.
At least the last one.
Yes.
Last demo session. How many of you have attended?
Mayuri?
Okay.
Praveen, your audio is not clear.
We are getting
Is
echo
it
from
echo from my side? So can everyone mute yourself? And that is why basically I do not unmute everyone over here at this point of time. Please mute every one of you, whoever I have given the access. And others, you will get the access in the last 30 minutes and will be able to go ahead over there. I did not attend, but watched all the recordings. That's good. Why I am not unmuted? So Priyanka, if you want to get unmuted, you can raise your hand and I'll unmute yourself. Is it for everyone that I am not audible properly?
You are audible, but your voice is not clear, Praveen.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's get started. And whoever wants to get unmuted, you can just raise your hand. I'll unmute. Could not attend? No, do not worry. I'll go through everything in our session over here, and then we'll see. Also, please do not unmute yourself in between. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And then we'll also see in terms of our next 30 minutes where I'll unmute every one of you whoever wants to ask the questions. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and see the course content that we have. Or course content we have already gone through. You people have also gone through with it. I have already given inside the inside also the advertisement. Also, you should have received that. But if any one of you have not received, you can get those things from my side. Second thing is, I'm also requesting every one of you. You can share your email address inside the group, whatever the group that you are in. You should be inside one of a group. There you can share your email address. If you have a Gmail address, then that would be better, so that I can provide you the access of this document, this drive folder that you will be getting the access to, and everything, whatever the document that we'll be referring inside our sessions, either today, tomorrow, or going forward. Sorry. Can you all please mute yourself? Okay. So every one of you should be getting the access to the documents over here, which will be completely TypeScript. You will also be getting a sample resume, and you will also be getting the documents related to the playwright. Everything I have compiled it over here inside the drive. The only thing that you have to do is, if you have a Gmail address or any kind of email address that you are using, you can simply share inside the group. I'll provide you the access to each and every one of you. Okay. all the documents that we'll be referring in our sessions going forward, either today, tomorrow, or anytime, whenever we try to use, we'll be using the document, whatever I have listed inside this particular document. Okay, I've also compiled every types of playwright things. I've also compiled everything related to a TypeScript, including the coding interviews questions that you have to try it out, including the programming interviews and theoretical interviews. Concept that we'll be going through and starting from today onwards, everything you'll get it inside this particular document. Okay, so let's again go through once in our initial session, which is our today's first session. So we generally cover up like day 0 part over here, where we'll be going through again to see the installation of the TypeScript. So that is basically used to be a part of demo. The last demo that we conduct used to be a day 0 over there. And in our day 1 session, we used to recap the installation part. We'll go through once in a high level format, like how do we do the installation, what are the different things that we have to do, what is the prerequisite that we have to follow, and so on, in a high level overview. And then we'll be starting with some kind of concept inside the JavaScript and TypeScript. Okay, so in the initial 2 weeks of time, we will be covering up, we'll basically be covering up like TypeScript. Ultimately, you will also be covering the JavaScript will also be covered up over there. So we'll be starting with the variables. How do we declare variables, different types of data types that we have in JavaScript and TypeScript. Operators, different operators, which is like arithmetic, logical, comparison, and assignment, and so on. We'll also be going through with the statements. These are basic things that we have to understand before we move to the playwright. Statements, which will be like conditions, if else, if switch condition, looping concept, which will be again for loop, while loop, do while loop. Different types of functions that we generally use in terms of JavaScript and TypeScript, the different types of functions that we'll be going through. Then how do we declare array? How do we declare the strings? How do we declare objects? There are slight difference in terms of objects when we talk about JavaScript and TypeScript. How do we go for classes, and a few of the oops concept that we'll also be covering up over here in terms of the TypeScript. Okay, so this will mainly cover up for the next 2 weeks of time. We'll be covering up the complete TypeScript, which will ultimately cover up your JavaScript things as well over here. Okay, if any one of you want to get unmuted, you can raise your hand over there. Right, this is a question we are not able to send message. I'll ask the group admin to allow everyone to send the message over there. Okay, so just give me, I'm not sure, like there are few of the people who were trying to send some kind of message in the earlier part. That is where they might have blocked, but we'll ask everyone to admin to give you the access. Okay, also please can you please record the session? It is already being recorded. So also you can raise whatever the questions if you have related to anything that we are going through in our session over here as well. I'll take this at the end of the session. Apart from that, you can raise your hand and I'll take the questions from there as well. But all the questions that we can take it for the last like 15 to 20 minutes, or if there are a lot of questions, I'll give like 30 minutes. Or as I said, like alternate Friday, we'll also be taking the sessions where we'll be talking about the complete sessions for the question and answer itself. Okay, so whoever have the audio access, please mute yourself if you are not trying to ask any questions, so that it will not get disturbed for the sessions. Okay, after 2 weeks of time, we'll be starting with a playwright, where we'll be going through with the once again the introduction of playwright. I believe like few of you have not attended, might have gone through with the recorded session, but we'll go through once again at the time of starting with the playwright. How do we what is the use of playwright, why it is famous in the market right now, why the people and organization are moving towards. I have basically introduced it in the demo 1 session. Well, again, you can go through with the recorded session as well as we'll go through inside the playwright once we start. We'll go to the installation part. By then we should have like Node.js and Visual Studio Code already available. So we'll see like how do we install the playwright environment, or how do we set up inside the playwright. I've given in like day 13, day 14 kind of things, and that should be covered as a part of like day 14 or day 15 itself. Then we'll be going through with understanding the playwright architecture. How does the architecture works that I was talking about earlier over here. Architecture of the playwright. That document will also be shared along with you people. We'll be creating the project, we'll be installing the playwright dependencies and so on. And we'll talk about few of the basic part of the things in terms of a playwright once we start. After that, we'll go with the basics of playwright, understanding the basic concept, understanding the configuration file. You should have seen, like, at the time of installation, some other folders have been added inside the project. What are those folders? What is the significance of those folders? Everything we'll talk about in the initial days of the playwright. That is the basic part that we have to understand before we start writing any single like our first test inside the playwright. Okay, so we'll write a first test probably in day 15, and then from there in day 16 and day 17 you can see that we have kept it only for the locators. So we'll understand locators in a deep understanding, like how do we write the locators, dynamic locators, parent-child relationship, access part comes into picture, and different types of things we'll see, like how do we write XPath, how do we write CSS selector, how do we take the help of get by locators that playwright has given. Everything will be covered in basic sessions in the initial days. Then we'll be having a different methods. We'll be starting from the day 18 onwards. We'll be starting with basic and advanced level of playwright. We'll be talking about what do we generally do in terms of our regular day by day things inside the organizations. Okay, and again, basic things will be covered, where getting the text value from an element, multiple elements, how do we run the test case inside test case by using headless and headed mode, how do we handle checkbox, different kinds of mouse operations, handling the alert pop-up, drop-down handling. We have gone through with the playwright inspector and traces viewer. We'll understand in detail how does it help us in terms of debugging the test cases and so on. We'll see like how do we handle multiple child, different kinds of assertions we'll go through. Assertions we have gone through at the time of going through with the code gen, but we'll understand what are different types of assertions that we have. We'll also be writing an end-to-end script to see how do we generally start from the login of the application to ordering of a product, and then validating whether the order is successful or not, and then go and check inside the order history whether the product that you have added is available or not. So end-to-end script will also be writing inside that playwright sessions. And then we'll go through with understanding the different tools that playwright has given, which is inspector, traces viewer, code gen, record and playback demo. Again, I'll provide you, and that basically completes the web automation part, which along with the hidden elements validation, frame handlings, uploads and download, how do we upload the file and how do we download the file using playwright, shadow DOM elements that I talked about earlier. That's pretty easy in terms of handling playwright. So we'll understand what is shadow DOM elements first, and then we'll go through with the handling of those things. Reading data from JSON and Excel. I somehow missed to add Excel over here, so we'll be covered there over as well. So how do we get the data from JSON and Excel? And then after that, we'll move towards writing a few test cases for API testing. We'll see like how do we do the API testing. We'll also write a mix of web and API testing. That means a combination of web and API testing to see how does it work, how easy it is in terms of setting up inside the playwright and so on. Though usually we know that the playwright will automatically take the screenshot, as we have gone through inside the demo as well, but we'll see if it is something like if any interviewer is asking you how do you take this screenshot inside the playwright, then how will you write? How do you scroll down inside the page? How will you write? Basically, playwright automatically scroll down and scroll up inside the page. But if you have to handle it, how will you write? Those kind of things, we'll check it out, like handling scrolls and all. And then we'll go and understand the basic and advanced level of page object model framework that will be going over here. Inside the page object model framework as well, we'll see how do we get the data from JSON, how do we get the data from Excel file, and how do we get the JSON data from different classes. Like let's say if you can create a constant class, and from there we can also get the data from one particular file to another, test cases and all. How do we parameterize the test cases? How do we run the test case in a serial and parallel execution, which is again one of the most important concepts. And then we'll complete the page object model framework. After that, we'll have few more concepts which we'll be going through with HTML and LUO report generation, which is hot in the market right now, which is like LUO report generation. How do we generate the LUO report and so on? And we'll also understand the GitHub completely from scratch. That how do we take the help of GitHub to store our code inside the Git? How do we push and pull the code? How do we merge the code and so on? How do we raise the PR, which is also known as pull request? Okay. After understanding the GitHub, everything that you see have the some or other connection, right? So everything, if you see like this step, we have to understand this, then only you have to go for the next step. Again, you have to understand this one, then you only have to go for the next step. So everything have some or other connection. After completion of the page object model framework, you also have to generate the report to see whatever the report, whatever the framework that you have generated, whatever the test case that you have generated, whether that is generating the report or not, how many test cases have been passed, failed, and so on, right? And after that, we'll understand the GitHub so that we can put our code inside the GitHub. And once you put the code inside the GitHub, then we can go and create the CI/CD pipeline using Jenkins over here, right? So these are every concept that you see are related to one another, like one another. That means before you go for certain things, you have to complete the before part. Okay. So in day 35 or day 34, we should be able to complete the integration of the Playwright framework with the Jenkins over here. Okay. That will be the course completion, but as I promised earlier, the bonus part will also be providing over here the Cucumber framework, which will be given a complete recorded session, and we'll also be having a capstone project. What is capstone project? That means after the completion of integration over here, integration with Jenkins, you people will also be given an assignment to complete by developing a framework. Okay, at this point of time, you will become intermediate level to develop the framework, write the script inside the framework, and push it inside the GitHub, integrate it with Jenkins, generate different kinds of reporting so that you can finish a project kind of things by using the Playwright. Okay, that will also be evaluated after the course completion. Okay. So that will be basically will be the completion of both like TypeScript and Playwright along with the JavaScript as well. Also, if any one of you are only specifically looking for the JavaScript part over here, if you are only specifically looking for JavaScript part over here, I'll also be providing the complete recorded sessions of only the JavaScript and TypeScript as well. So ultimately, you will be learning two things. One is TypeScript, and second is JavaScript. TypeScript along with the Playwright, JavaScript along with the Playwright will also be given over there. Okay. Is my voice okay right now? Everyone is able to hear me? Everyone is able to see my screen?
Yes, Praveen.
Yes. Okay. Okay, great. So I see like at 9:25, someone commented then that your voice is breaking. So I hope it is okay right now. Okay. Now let's go for our day one. Day 0 was the installation part. Let's go for our day 1 session over here to see what we have done in our the last demo session where we have gone for the installation. Okay. So first part will be the demo session over here, which we have which we basically have completed as a part of the demo. So what we have done is we have seen like what generally we have as a part of prerequisite. So prerequisite means, okay, so before I go over here, how many of you have worked on any tools and technology in the past? Can be any tools and technology.
I'm working with PyCharm with Python.
PyCharm, Python. Okay. Okay, so what I will do over here is I'll just, I have given you the access to talk, but do not unmute yourself. I will lower all the hands. Now, what you can do is raise your hands. How many of you have already worked in the past on any of the tools and technology? Only those people, you can just raise the hand if you have worked on any of the tools and technologies. Just raise your hand. Only whoever have worked in the past for any tools and technologies. So I'll wait for 1 more minute to see if there are any more people have worked in the past. So I see like there are 12, there are 14 out of 43. We see like 14 members have already worked in the past on any tools and technology earlier, or 15 members. See like 16. Okay, that's good. So so why do I generally ask? You can all lower your hands. So why do I generally ask this question is, so why do I generally ask this question is, so before starting the session, I can understand the level of the things that you already have or that you already have gone through. And depending on that, we used to take the sessions. So let's say if every one of people are freshers over here, or let's say everyone have worked in the past on any tools and technology. If every one of you have worked in the past, then there will be different kinds of different level of the basic things that we'll be going through. If everyone or if most of the people are freshers who have never worked on any tools and technology, then the teaching level will be again entirely different. And that is why I used to ask. I see like the combination of people, most of them might not have worked on any tools and technology. So we'll go through in the similar level of going through the session where everyone can understand in a basic manner, in an easy manner. Okay. Second and third thing is like we will also be going through with the basic concept, which is like data types, operators, statements, loops. These are basic things that are available inside any of the tools and technology and will be the same. Okay, so if you already have worked on, I'll still suggest to attend every sessions so that you'll at least get 1% of the things that are available over there. And from there also you can get like, by even going through with same concept multiple times, every time we'll get some kind of knowledge from the topics, right? So I'll suggest everyone to attend the session daily so that you'll get maximum of the course content that we have prepared over here. Okay, now let's go ahead and see. Great. So now let's go ahead and see how do we basically go for the first part of the things, which used to be day one, which is how do we install certain things, how do we set up certain things inside our system to work with. Okay, now those are known as prerequisite. That means to start working, or example, let's say what is known as a prerequisite is, let's say if you want to go and attend any college, right? If you want to go and attend any college, the prerequisite should be you need to take the admission, right? You basically need to take the admission inside the college so that they'll allow you to go inside the classes and listen the session, whatever they conduct over there, right? So that is known as a preconditions. Preconditions for you to go inside the colleges and attend the session. In the same way, whenever we work with any of the tools and technology, we need to have certain preconditions. And preconditions are, how do you write the code? Where will you write the code? Wherever you write, how does the place wherever you have written understand your code that you have written in Java, you have written in Python, you have written in TypeScript or any other programming language, right? Example, we have written certain lines of code over here, which basically print test on console, right, in terms of JavaScript and TypeScript. But how does it understand? This is again a place where we have written one line of code. How does it understand that what kind of language that you have written? What will be the significance of this line of code that you have written over here, right? So to understand this kind of things, we require certain places and certain tools that we require inside working and setting up the things inside our local system. Okay, so that it will understand, okay, we have written a JavaScript or TypeScript code that basically used to help us in printing something on the console. Okay, so in that way, we require or we need to have certain preconditions to set up the TypeScript environment and to start working with TypeScript and JavaScript. And later we'll also see for the playwright when we start with playwright over here. Okay, so in that way, we have a certain preconditions or prerequisite, that is to work with TypeScript. Or first I'll talk about to JavaScript. To work with JavaScript, we need two things over here. One is Node.js, which should be of greater than 18 version, which is also known as a JavaScript runtime environment, which is basically known as a JavaScript runtime environment, which help us in running the code, whatever the code that we write using JavaScript, Okay, so all the definitions part also I have given it inside this document, which you will get the access through the drive access over there. Okay, so that you can also understand what is basically a prerequisite, what is Node.js, and so on. I have given the definition over here as well. So generally, Node.js is a open source cross-platform backend JavaScript runtime environment, which help us in executing the code that we write using JavaScript language. Okay, along with the Node.js, npm will also be automatically installed, and npm stands for Node Packaging Manager, which manages all the software, all the jars, all the tools that have been developed using JavaScript. Okay, so whenever we have to install certain things related to JavaScript and TypeScript, we have to take the help of npm itself to install that inside our local system. Okay, so this is first part. Second is the editor that we require. What is editor? Editor is something where you write the code. This is also an editor. Wherever I am currently writing, this is also an editor. But this is an editor to understand the text file, understand the text word that we write over here. Now we need an editor which will basically understand our code that we write using JavaScript or TypeScript. Okay, so for that we write an editor which is known as a Visual Studio Code. Editor is a tool, a place where we store our code. Okay, a tool or place where we store our code. You can always raise your hand whenever you have any questions. For now, I'm just loading all the hands over here by giving you the access. And later, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand in between as well. And I'll see going forward the things over here. For now, you can just lower all your hands. I'm loading all the hands. If you have any kind of questions, you can also ask inside the Q&A. But we'll anyways be talking about at the end of our session, where we'll have 15-20 minutes to take the question and answer sessions part. Okay, so second part that we require is an editor, which is also known as Visual Studio Code. Okay, Visual Studio Code is an editor which in the short form known as VS Code, which we'll be using over here in terms of going through with the course, which will be consisting of TypeScript and playwright. Along with, when you go with the JavaScript, we'll also be using the similar kind of similar things over here as an editor. Now, these are two things that we require in terms of working with purely JavaScript. These are only the two things that we require in terms of working with JavaScript. Now, to work with TypeScript, we require two additional things over here. This comes The number 4 will come as a part of playwright. So I'll not talk about that right now. But to work with TypeScript, we also have to install TypeScript and a TSX module. What is installing TypeScript? So generally, when you install this Node.js and you start writing the code, the JavaScript will automatically get identified by the Node.js. Because what is Node.js? Node.js is JavaScript runtime environment. So it will by default understand the code that we have written using JavaScript. Okay. Now to work with TypeScript or whatever the code that you are trying to write using a TypeScript inside the Visual Studio Code or inside any of the editor, it will not be able to understand your code if you have not installed TypeScript. So to work with TypeScript, we also have to install TypeScript, and to execute the TypeScript code. To execute the TypeScript code, earlier I said Node.js is a JavaScript runtime environment. That means it will help us in executing the JavaScript code, not the TypeScript code. So to execute the TypeScript code, we have to take the help of a module known as TSX. TSX stands for TypeScript Executor. Okay, we need to take the help of a TypeScript Executor module, which will help us in running the code that we run by using, that we have written by using TypeScript. Okay, so these are the 3 different things that we have, that we require as a prerequisite to work with TypeScript in terms of our courses over here. Okay. I hope you people are able to hear me properly.
Yes,
okay. Right. So to start it with, I'll just give you the overview. How do we go for the installation? If any one of you are trying to install it right away, you can go ahead and install. And if you have already installed, that is well and good. That we'll talk about again once we start with the different concept over here. So our day 1 part, we'll see like some of the installation part, and if time permits, we'll also go for the variables, understanding of variables. What are different types of variables that we can declare in terms of TypeScript. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see the installation part. So for if you talk about the first one, that is a most important things. Again, Node.js we need to install in our system, which should have to be a greater than 18 version. Okay, the version of the Node.js should be greater than 18. The current version of the Node.js is somewhere around 22 dot something. That we'll see in next couple of minutes. Let's see how do we install the Node.js. Okay, so first thing is to install the Node.js. You can go to any of the browser, okay, and search for Node.js download. Just search Node.js download over here. You can click on this and it opens a download page, which is download node.js. You can simply click on this and it will take us to the download part. Okay, so you can search Node.js download, click on the first result that it is displaying, which is download node.js, and then you can click on this. It will take us to the download page over here. Inside this, you will say there are different kinds of versions that are available over here. The current version that is available in the market is version 23.11.0, which is not the stable version. So wherever you see LTS, that means latest stable version. That is known as latest stable version. Whatever the latest stable version are there, it will automatically pick over here. Your operating system, whatever the operating system that you are trying to use, will also be automatically picked over here. So you can go and depending on your operating system, whatever it is displaying, you can click on installer part over here. Okay, Windows installer or Mac OS installer, it will be displaying over here. You can simply click on this and it will install. Within few seconds, it will install a MSI software. MSI means it will be a setup wizard kind of window. You might have set up something in the past, right, by downloading some of the other things. So this kind of wizard, it will set it up inside the system. Okay, I have the similar version that is available inside my system. But in your case, what you have to do is you have to click next, and you will not get this option over here. For me, it is already available. That is why it is displaying a change, repair, or remove. You can simply click on. You do not have to do anything. It will directly take you to this particular page. Okay, it will directly take you to this particular page. And again, you can click on next button, which will automatically select the Node.js over here. You can click on next and then check this particular checkbox. Okay, along with Node.js, there are some of the things that will be coming up along with the Node.js tools. You can simply check it out, or this is not mandatory, but you can also check it out to get some kind of installation, which there'll be a chocolatey and some other things in the future. Okay, and then again click on next. For me, it is asking us to change. For you, it will display over here text value as install. For you, it will be install. For me, it will change because it is already available inside my system. Okay, I'll not click on change right now because it is already available over here. So as soon as you click on install, you'll get again one of a window pop-up which says that allow to make some kind of changes inside your system. So you have to click on yes. Example, if you click on this, it basically opens up this wizard. Probably you might not be seeing, but you have to click on yes button, and then it will start execution. Depending on your internet speed, it might take 30 seconds to 2 minutes of time to finish it off installation. And at the end, you'll get this finish button and will be able to finish the installation of the Node.js. So with this, we have completed the Node.js setup. How do we know that the Node.js have been set up inside our system? Okay, this is a pretty simple work. This is not a 2 minute, this is not more than 2 minutes of work to set up the Node.js. But how do you validate whether the Node.js have been installed inside your system or not? Okay, so for that, you can open either a terminal or the command prompt. So you can open either the command prompt or the terminal, which will try to execute some kind of code. Not sure why it is not displaying today. Give me a minute. So either you can open a command prompt or you can open a terminal, where we simply have to type. Looks like the system running reboot mode. Okay, we'll see. So what you only have to do is you just have to go to a system or a terminal. Your terminal will look like something. Let me see if it is opening over here. Or I'll come back to this point. Let's open it over here for now. So you just have to open the command prompt or terminal inside your system and then type node, then type something like this, which is node, or let me go back to the page itself. So you can simply type over here something known as, to check whether this have been installed or not, and type it out inside the command prompt or terminal known as node space minus minus version. Node space minus minus version. If it should give you the latest version that you have installed, which is in current case, it is v22.14.0 or something, whatever it is latest one. Okay, so that it should give you at the time of whenever you use this command, which is node minus minus 2 times minus minus node space minus minus version. It should give you the downloaded version. And earlier I said that along with the Node.js, the npm will also be installed, right? So to check whether the npm have been installed or not, you can write a command saying npm, again npm space minus minus version, and this will also return some kind of version, let's say 10 dot something or some kind of thing, whatever it is latest in the market right now. Okay, so that will basically give you the confirmation that the Node.js have been installed successfully inside your system. Okay, somehow it basically got stuck due to sign out inside my system. I'll check it out and we'll show you in our next session how do you have to write, but you should be understanding, you should have understood, or if not, you can also visit our previous sessions, the last session that we have conducted as a demo. Okay, now for the second editor that we have over here, it's not displaying. Now second part of the things that is also known as Visual Studio Code, right? Second is the editor that we have to install, so that is known as a Visual Studio Code. The installation is similar. You can go to any of your favorite browser and search for Visual Studio Code download or VS Code download. Okay, Visual Studio Code download or VS Code download over here. You can simply click on the first one, which it is displaying as download Visual Studio Code. You can click on this and then you will be redirected to this particular page, which is download Visual Studio Code. Okay, here, depending on your operating system, whatever the operating system that you are currently using, either you can click on Windows or Mac operating system, or if you are working on Ubuntu or any other things, then you can click on these options. So in my case, I'm working on Windows. If you're working on Mac, then you can click on this. As soon as you click on this, it will start installation of the Visual Studio Code. This will again be a setup wizard kind of things, executable file or executable software that is basically .exe file. You can click on this and this will again generate a this will also display some kind of wizard over here. So in my case, it is saying that it is basically already available inside the system, which I have to close all the instances to start downloading of the Visual Studio Code. So let's do one thing. I'm closing all the Visual Studio Code that are open over here. So I'm simply closing all the things, and then you will see like it will allow us to start. So this kind of window you will get the option as you have to. I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, Praveen, we can see it.
Yes, Praveen. Okay, great. So on this screen, you have to accept the license, which is I accept the agreement. Again, click on next couple of times. It will say that register code as an editor for supported file. It will automatically be checked over here. Add to the path. It will also add the path of this particular software for this shell utilization of or understanding of the code. And then you can also check for the first time. You can check it out. Create a desktop icon. Okay, so you can check this checkbox, and this will create something like this icon over here. You can see like this one, Visual Studio Code icon. This one over here that it will display. Okay, so again go back to this one, and then you can click on this. For me, I have already created earlier, so I do not require. And then you can click on next button. Okay, so at this point of time, this will display like click install to continue with the installation. So you have to click on install, and again you have to give the access, which is it will ask you allow the system to change inside your basically allow the Visual Studio Code to change inside your system for the first time. You will have to click on yes button, and then it will start downloading of the Visual Studio Code. You can see like it had started downloading over here. Okay, so after the completion of download, it will automatically open the windows for you where it is saying that launch Visual Studio Code after finishing up the session. Finishing up the setup over here, you can click on finish and it will automatically launch the Visual Studio Code over here. For me, it is displaying of the last one, that the window that I have closed. For you, it will be displaying, it will basically display a new window, something like this kind of new window, something like this, along with some Windows application, or first page will be displaying, and first page you will be getting as a welcome page over there. So in terms of you, it will get a welcome page over here for the first time. It will automatically open like this kind of windows, having a welcome page on this. Okay. So this is basically the installation of Node.js that we have installed over here. Node.js. Along with that, we have also installed the Visual Studio Code that we'll be using in terms of our session to work with TypeScript and JavaScript. Okay, and later with Apply. Okay. So these are the two things that we majorly require for JavaScript part. Now, what about the TypeScript? So to work with TypeScript, we also have to install the TypeScript over here. Okay, and then we also have to install the TypeScript module as well. Okay, so for that, what we have to do is, so if you are wondering that how do you remember all these steps and all, you do not have to remember anything. Inside this document, which you will also be provided along with the drive folder. So inside this documents, I have already given what kind of things that we have to go through with the Node.js and like TypeScript setup over here. You can see it says that Node.js, TypeScript compiler, and then Visual Studio Code that we have to install. And later, when you scroll down, you will also be seeing that you also require an TSX module to be installed. Okay. So everything along with the command I have also given over here as well. But to install the TypeScript, you can either go to command prompt, or you can go to the terminal over here. You can open the command prompt, or you can open a terminal. Or third way is you can go inside your Visual Studio Code. You can go inside your Visual Studio Code, and then from here you can create a folder. Okay, what is this folder used for? So whenever you try to write a code, you will basically be storing at certain place, right? So whenever you write certain things or certain codes, you'll basically be storing over there for some or other things, right? To store the code inside the local system. So for that, we'll be creating a folder. Okay, so you can click on this open folder, go inside anywhere inside your system, wherever you are trying to store the code, or wherever you are trying to basically create the code over here. You can go inside that and create a folder. Okay, at any place wherever you want to create, you can create a folder, and inside that particular folder you can select it over here. So example, I'll show you over here the example, which is, let's say, example this one, and then I'll say it as I'll create a folder over here. At certain place inside my system, I'm creating a folder, which I'll just give the name as let's say April 2025, and then TypeScript, some kind of things. Okay, some folder name I've given over here, and then it will be selected the folder name over here, and click on select folder. So as soon as you click select folder, this particular folder will display over here, whatever the name of the folder that we have given. Okay, so that will display here. Now we have to go for installation of TypeScript and TSX module as a third prerequisite to work with TypeScript, right? So to install TypeScript, you can open a terminal. On this Visual Studio Code, there are 4 ways in which you can open a terminal. One is you can see like this toggle terminal that it's saying, which is Control plus backtick option. Control plus backtick. Okay, where is backtick? Backtick you'll get just above your tab keyword on your keyboard, or just below your escape keyword on your keyboard. Okay, so control and then backtick will open the terminal automatically. Okay, this is one way to open the terminal. Second way is, you can see the no problem option over here with a cancel mark. You can click on this, it will take us to the problems, and then from here you can go to terminal. This is second way. Third way is, you can also go to the view menu option and then click on terminal over here. Okay, and fourth way is, you can go to this three dots or however it is displaying, you'll get an option as terminal, and then you can click on new terminal over here, and this will also take us to the terminal. In any ways, however you prefer, you can open the terminal, and then you can to install. Now what we are trying to do, we are trying to install the TypeScript over here as a third prerequisite. To install the TypeScript, we have a command known as npm, or do we install anything which is related to JavaScript or TypeScript, npm install, and to install at a global base, you can give -g over here, and then give the software that you are or jar that you are trying to install, which is TypeScript over here. Npm install -g, that means -g stands for global. That means if you are trying to install using a -g over here, install this folder, inside this folder, your TypeScript will be installed inside your local system globally. That means when you create any other project or any other folder, there you do not have to install TypeScript again and again. It will automatically be available for you if you are using -g. If you're not using -g to install the TypeScript, then that TypeScript will be available for only that particular folder. Okay. So you can simply go to this particular folder, open the terminal, and then type a command known as npm install -g TypeScript. Within 5 seconds, it will install the complete TypeScript over here within 5 seconds, right? So it says that changed one package in 2 seconds. That means even the TypeScript have been installed successfully inside our system. Okay. And after that, we also require a TSX module. Why do we require a TSX module? That is another concept that we have to understand over here. So why do we require a TSX module is TypeScript, if you talk about, now you might be wondering that why are we only going with the TypeScript? Why are we basically going with the major things as a TypeScript, not as a JavaScript? So do not worry, like JavaScript and Playwright complete recorded session will be provided to you people. But in general, most of the organization nowadays are moving towards TypeScript, because of some type safety are available inside the TypeScript. Okay, most of the organization, I have seen like 90% of the organization are nowadays moving towards Playwright using TypeScript. Okay, earlier around a year ago or two, they were pretty familiar with JavaScript, so they were going with the Playwright using JavaScript. But nowadays it has changed and TypeScript have came into picture in a better way. Okay, so what basically says is, whenever you work with a TypeScript is basically a superset of JavaScript. That means TypeScript have been developed on top of JavaScript. And that is where I said, if you learn TypeScript, that means ultimately you are also learning JavaScript, because TypeScript have been developed on top of JavaScript. TypeScript built on top of JavaScript. Whatever the syntax, whatever the code that we write using a JavaScript is also a TypeScript code as well. And whatever the code you write using a TypeScript without data type as a type, that is also known as a JavaScript. So what ultimately happens is, we basically have to write the code using a TypeScript, then compile the TypeScript code into a plain JavaScript language. That means when you try to execute the TypeScript code, whatever the code that you write using a TypeScript, we have to convert that to a JavaScript file, and then that JavaScript file we have to run to get the result from the code that we have written using TypeScript. Now you might be wondering, okay, then what is the use of TypeScript? If you basically cannot run directly the TypeScript, you basically have to convert the TypeScript code into a JavaScript code. Then why are we going through with the TypeScript? There are certain advantages that we'll go through from the next session onwards, there are certain advantages. That is why people are going through with the TypeScript. So in overall, if I talk about, so what we'll be writing is, we'll be writing a code using a TypeScript with a .ts extension, and that will be converted by using a TypeScript compiler to a JavaScript code. And this JavaScript file will be running to execute or to return us the result. And that happens by using a TypeScript compiler. That stands for TSC. TSC stands for a TypeScript compiler. TSC stands for a TypeScript compiler. What it will do is, it will basically, it will generally be available automatically, and it will install automatically along with the TypeScript installation. So whatever we have done over here by using npm install -g TypeScript, that will install TSC module as well. What is the use of TSC module? Let's see over here. I'll just write some dummy code. Do not worry what I'm trying to write over here. So I'm trying to write, let's say, let name : string equals to some TypeScript. TypeScript over here, and then I'm trying to print this particular value by using something which is like, let's say, let name1, and then I'm simply printing this value which is name1 that we have declared over here. Okay. So what we have done is, we have written some line of code by using a TypeScript. Okay. Now you cannot directly run this particular things if you have not installed TSX module. Now, whatever the concept that I'm talking about, only for the TSX. Why do we require TSX module? So if you do not have TSX module installed inside your system, then you basically have to run this particular file that you have written using .ts. .ts, as soon as you write, it will automatically understand that you have written inside using a TypeScript TS. Okay. So you have to use a command known as tsc and then path of the file. What is the path of the file? Which is test.ts, or simply a file name. As soon as you can observe over here, we have one file which is test.ts. As soon as you hit enter, this will convert the TypeScript code into a JavaScript code. And you can see that it has added a file over here, which is test.js. Okay, test.js file have been added over here, which should be having the similar code, which is var or let name1 equals to TypeScript, and then console.log name1. Okay, here also you can see like let name1 equals to TypeScript. Only thing that we have added over here is the data type that we are trying to use, okay, in terms of a TypeScript. But when it converts this particular code into a JavaScript format, it has removed the type over here, because JavaScript is dynamically typed language and TypeScript is a statically typed language. Okay, in terms of a statically typed language, if you try to give, or if you have done some kind of mistake in your code, it will automatically identify at the time of writing the code itself. Whereas in terms of dynamically typed language, it will identify your mistake at the time of execution of your code. And that is the reason most of the organizations are moving towards TypeScript. Not waste much of time. At the time of execution, it will identify our error. Whereas in terms of TypeScript, it will automatically identify at the time of writing the code itself. Okay, so if you can see that it has basically added a folder, and now this file that we have to use by using a node, we have to execute this JavaScript file. Okay, if you again hit enter, it will print us whatever the value that we are trying to print over here. Okay, but in this case, you can see like TSC module, when you use a TSC over here, it has added a file and converted the TypeScript into a JavaScript file. Okay, let's delete it now. We do not require that. Now, if you have a TSX module will not compile your TypeScript code into, basically it will internally compile your TypeScript code into a JavaScript code, and that JavaScript file will also run internally. It will not be added over here. For example, you can see when I press TSX, and then test.ps, you'll see that it will automatically return us the value which is TypeScript without even adding the JavaScript file. Okay, so we do not want to take the burden of running two different commands to run the TypeScript file. That is why we go for installation of TSX module to run the TypeScript. Okay, I hope it is clear for everyone. Now, how do we install this TypeScript TSX module? For that, we can use a command known as npm install -g. -g is globally available. You can see that I have not installed a TSX module over here, but it is automatically available. Why? Because I've installed using -g. Okay, and then you can say TSX over here. So again, you do not have to remember all these commands over here. This command have also been given inside this document. This command have also been given inside this document, which is npm install -g TypeScript, and then you can also see npm install TSX module, which is npm install -g TSX. Okay. To install this, you have to just type it this one, npm install -g TSX, and within again few seconds, it will be installed. It will install the TSX module inside your system, and this will globally be available inside your system. Okay, you can simply say it as minus version as well, and this will display you the TSX version along with the Node.js version. Okay, so this is how we basically do a setup of the TypeScript module over here. I'll delete this. We'll go and discuss in our first session. But first thing that we do in terms of any of the language, that is how do we print something on the console. Okay, so that we'll see in our today's session, and then we'll go for a question and answer. So I'll just create something which I'll give the name as first program.ps. So in any of the programming language, first thing that we try to learn is how do we print something on the console. If you are working with, let's say, Java, we simply say it as, let's say, system.out.println, right? If you are from background of Java, then you might be knowing that to even print something, we have to create a class, right? We basically have to create a class to something, to print something on the console. We have to follow certain rules and regulations that Java has given us, right? In terms of TypeScript and in terms of JavaScript, it basically known as a file. So you do not require to execute something or to write some kind of program. It is not required to create a class in JavaScript and TypeScript. You can simply create a file. This is known as a file in JavaScript and TypeScript, which we have given the name as firstprogram.ts. Okay. In terms of Python, we have a print to print something on the console. And in terms of JavaScript and TypeScript, we have something known as console.log. So what we are trying to say over here is on the console, log something, whatever you want to log. That means whatever you want to print, that will go inside the log. This is console, which is available as a part of interface over here. You can see console is an interface, and inside that there is a method known as log, which will help us in printing the value on the console. What is console? On the terminal over here inside the Visual Studio Code. If you try to run the test automation at that point of time, this will be printed on the browser level. Okay, so whatever the things that you are trying to print by using on the console by using JavaScript and TypeScript, we have a command known as console.log, which will print the value on the console over here. Okay, how do we run this TypeScript file? This command is same in both JavaScript and TypeScript. This command is same in both JavaScript and TypeScript. How do I know that? Okay, let's see one thing over here. I'll again do, let's say, I colon number equals to 10. Do not worry what I'm trying to write. I'm just trying to write some TypeScript code. Okay, so if you run this TypeScript code by using a node command, earlier we talked about, Node is JavaScript runtime environment, right? So when you try to run any JavaScript code, you have to write a command known as node space file name. Okay, so I'll just give the file name over here, which is first program.ps. Let's see what is happening in this case. So it is saying unexpected token, right? It is saying unexpected token. What is that? A colon. So in terms of a JavaScript, it will not be able to identify what is the colon that you have written over here. So we have written something colon and then data type of the variable that we have declared over here. Okay, so this means this is specifically a TypeScript code that we have written over here. And to execute the TypeScript code, we have to use a command tsx, which will execute and give us the result. Okay, earlier I said this is whatever you see on the console over here, on the file over here, is also a JavaScript code. How do we know that? This is TypeScript file, and you can simply try to run by using first program.ps. If it gives you the result, that means the code that you have written is similar in both TypeScript and JavaScript. You can simply see this. This has returned a value over here. Because what it does is it first internally converts the TypeScript into a JavaScript. So it compares that both the code that we have written are same in both JavaScript and TypeScript. Earlier, in this case, we had seen that this is specifically a TypeScript code, not understandable by JavaScript code. Okay. One more thing I forgot to mention, that when you try to install something, let's say TypeScript or TSX module, if you're getting some kind of error, that some kind of permission error, right? So you have to use this particular command on the Visual Studio Code terminal. Inside the Visual Studio Code terminal, you have to use this particular command, which I'm also pasting in our chat over here. So I'm pasting inside our chat as well as inside the Q&A so that you people can copy over here. So this will help you to set the permission to execute any script inside your Visual Studio Code. Okay. So that's about our first session. I'll move to, again, you people to see if you have any questions. I'll first go through the Q&A and raise your hand if you would like to ask any questions. Feel free to raise your hand and I'll give you the access for all the things that you would like to get the things over here. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll just go to the Q&A and see if we have any questions over here. So attended, but installation is pending in my end. So please install as we'll be starting the concept from tomorrow onwards. Could not attend, Shaili, I believe. Please go through it, or probably might have given you some kind of understanding today. Somewhat, okay, I have installed Node.js, but in my command prompt, Node is not recognized. So it might not have been installed successfully. You can connect with me at any point of time to see what is the issue that you have. Please share this with us. What is that? I'm not sure what is that, Priyanka. If you are over here, please raise your hand so that I'll unmute and in WhatsApp group. What is that in WhatsApp group? In which WhatsApp group? Rajan, so you should be available inside a paid WhatsApp group list where all the members are over here who have enrolled for the course. Inside that group, I'll ask the admin to allow you the code, or however they go through with, I'll ask them to allow you to send a message. So group, we cannot share our email address. We don't have if you do not want to see inside a group, then you can ping me on my number as well. So you should be able to see one person named as Praveen inside the group, and on that number also you can please feel free to ask. I have also provided earlier my email address. In that email address also you can ask any kind of questions. So you should be getting two numbers to ask any kind of questions over here. feel free to ask. One will be like these two you can use. Apart from that, you can also use one more, which is like this one, which is 76740 75105. So these three will be able to help you to ask any kind of technical doubts. Okay. So there also you can share your email address directly to me as well inside the contact. We do not have access.
What will be the preferred call timing for these numbers?
You can call at any point of time. On the last number, you can call at any point of time that I have shared over here. On these two numbers, you can still call at any point of time. This will be always available 24/7. And for messages as well, you can use any of the numbers that you see over here. So call preferred time would be like, let's say, before 11 a.m. IST timing, or probably after 5 p.m. IST timing. Whatever suits for you, you can go ahead with that. But messages you can drop at any point of time.
Thanks.
Okay, no access to write. Please record the session. Do we also have a mock interview session? But yes, if anyone is interested over here, we'll also be conducting the mock sessions over here. Can we do playwright in TypeScript? Yes, always. We'll also be learning a playwright using TypeScript over here. Will you be providing a recorded for future reference in case we are unable to attend? Yes. All the recorded session you will be getting after our session ends, probably within 1 hour of time. Did not have worked in any tools and technology. Right, access. You can, as I said, you can also provide the email address directly to me, or you can provide the email address inside the group. If you do not want to send inside the group, I'll ask them to give the access. Or you can directly also ping me your email address. You'll see one name as Praveen, or you can use this last number to check my name inside the group, and from there you can also ping me. These are the open source tools. Yes, everything is open source, whatever we have installed till now, and it will also help to learn practice more during the weekends or during free time. Yeah. I'm not sure what is this for, Kiran. Probably it might be.
Praveen, I have a message that like, is it possible to provide access to the previous batch videos? So like, because if we could able to spend more than 4 to 6 hours per day, because we have the time and during the weekends, so we can go through those videos.
Right. So you like, if anyone is interested in that, you can forward me your email address. I'll provide you that as well.
Sure. Thank you.
These all are open source. Yes. So I have 9 years of experience. Tell me, ask why you shifted to QA. 3 years in Dev, 6 years. There is nothing such things. So as you have already worked 6 years in the manual, you can simply say that you have worked all the 9 years in terms of a QA itself. Okay. So you can see now, first 3 years, I believe you have worked on development, and after that you have shifted to QA. So you can simply say that you have worked for 9 years on the QA part. Can I keep some experience? Yes. Depending on the confidence level, you should be able to keep this like at least 1 or 2 years of experience in terms of playwright. If you have 20.9 version, I'll suggest you to install the latest version, which is like 22 dot something. Node.js less than 18 will not be supported. Node.js less than 18 will not be supported. npm.ps1 cannot be loaded because running script is disabled. This is what I was talking about. So if you are getting any one of you are getting like running script is disabled on your system, then you can use the command that I have provided over there. npm version 14 and node version 14 will not be acceptable. Running script is disabled. I have given just the command. You can use that command, and that will allow you to run the script over there. Can you repeat why dynamically and statically typed language? So statically and dynamically typed languages, dynamically means if you write the code and if you do some kind of error, that will basically not be identified at the time of writing the code. That is what known as dynamic. That means it will identify, it will do some kind of validations, or whatever the code that you have written will do the validation at the time of running the code. Statically means it will identify at the time of writing the code itself. Now, what is dynamically and static? That you will basically come up. Let's say, for example, this is a statically typed language. TypeScript is a statically typed language. So you have stored some value over here, and now if you are trying to store instead of a numeric value, if you are trying to store some value over here, let's say Rahul. So it basically throws us an error saying that TypeScript, which is string, is not assignable to a number, right? But if you try to do the similar kind of things in terms of JavaScript, right? So if you try to do similar things in terms of a JavaScript, let's say test.js, this will not identify at the time of writing the code, because this is a dynamically typed language, and it will understand at the time of running the code itself. So JavaScript will basically understand whatever the code that you have written at the time of running the code itself. And if there are any kind of issues or error, it will throw a sign at the time of execution of the code itself. Whereas TypeScript will identify at the time of writing the code itself. That is what known as dynamically and statically typed language.
Thank you, Praveen. It's clear.
Now, command to check the TSX version is TSX space -- version. This is one that I have given over here. Error module cannot find module. What is this for? So Madhu probably I would like to see, you might have given some file name might have given as a wrong, or I'll check it out, like how are you trying to use the use something over here. So
Praveen, sir, just a quick question.
Mhm.
When we install Playwright, right, like, what option should we select between TypeScript and JavaScript? Anything can be selected, right? TypeScript.
Select anything. So
Select
we'll be
anything.
going, right, you will be going through with the TypeScript, JavaScript recorded session I'll be providing you. So if you're going with JavaScript, then you can select JavaScript. If you're going with TypeScript, then you can select TypeScript over there.
I think in the past I've done JavaScript, but I want to do TypeScript because TypeScript
So you
is
can
more
just select
advanced and
TypeScript.
everybody's looking for TypeScript. So I'm interested in TypeScript. So in the
Right.
class, what are you going to teach? TypeScript,
So
right?
TypeScript is the major one. JavaScript, the complete session of the JavaScript version as well will be provided as a recorded session.
Recorded sessions, okay. But in class, you'll do TypeScript, okay.
TypeScript, yes. There
But
will
that
not be a
recorded.
difference.
But that will be recorded as well, right? The TypeScript.
Both will be recorded, TypeScript as
Both
well
will
as
be.
JavaScript.
Okay, yeah, that's what thank you.
Great. So why this command that I have set is sometimes people will get some disabled, like running script is disabled. To just get the enablement of that, to enable running this script, JavaScript, that is why this code that we basically use over here. Please, could you please share the recording? Yes, it will be shared. Getting this error while running filename.ts. What is this one? Sorry, I'm not able to see anything over here. Madhu, if you can share. Madhu, I believe you have shared earlier. So this is the file module. I'll just check it out. What is the issue that you're facing over here? If you have any question, where to ask, any email or WhatsApp number, I've just provided. Email address also had provided. You can either ask on email or you can ask on the number that I have just provided over there. Could you share number again? You can still check on this one. Inside this, these are the 3 numbers that you can reach out at any point of time for the technical help or any kind of help. Okay, so inside this you can check it out. Your email ID, please, I have provided in one of a session. You can just go through with that over there. And could you give me the Google Drive of syllabus? Definitely, you can just share me your email address. All the things will be provided. NPM is not recognized. Check the spelling or name. Right. So this also you have to set this path over there. So you have to basically work with. You have to execute this particular command inside your terminal of the Visual Studio Code, and then this issue will be resolved. This was from Shaili, I believe. So that will basically be resolved over there. So everyone who have gotten NPM is not recognized, the name of CMD, let, and other things, you have to run that particular line of code. I've installed the NPM, and then also it is showing the above error. So NPM installation will not work. The command that I have given, you have to work. Well, system error, most of the things are similar. Install directly TypeScript. Could you please share me the email address again? So it is edonexgen@gmail.com. Or should I share the email address at any point of, either you can use this email address or you can use the WhatsApp number that I have given. Now, any one of you from the unmuted, if you would like to ask any kind of questions, feel free to ask. If you want to get unmuted and ask any questions.
I have one question that
Yes.
mostly interviewer will ask that I means in my case actually I have experience person. So mostly recently most of the interviewer asks the questions like Fibonacci series and the palindrome number, Armstrong number, and all. So basically, I have given all the answers of the selenium and all, whatever I have work in my previous organization, all, but they are rejecting me for I have done some mistakes over the code, so they are rejecting me. So in that case, in playwright I have whatever I have fulfilled the playwright skills and all. So is there same case will be happen in next time?
So you will also be learning the coding part over here. Okay. So it comes with, like, as much as you practice. That is what I said initially. If you practice a lot, you will become an expert in something. You'll gain a knowledge. And how will you gain the knowledge? So I have whatever the codes and all that you have talked about, I've given inside this one, which is JavaScript coding interviews. You will find almost like 100 coding over here, which generally they ask in the interviews, and what I ask in the interviews. Okay, so see, sometimes the interviewer, right, will also be a bad person. It's not something that due to your mistake you have been rejected. Due to some or other situation can happen where you might get rejected. So you do not have to think that because of your mistake you might have been rejected. Okay, there can be n number of things. Even though you have given but you have been rejected, there might be some other reason for that. Okay, so in terms of your questions, if you have done some kind of mistake, that means you might have by-hearted the programming, or you might have not understood what is basically this code is working, or this line of code is working, and so on. So generally you have to practice a lot to understand how does it work, how does it basically work in terms of the programming, right? So in this course, we'll also be going through the basics of complete basic understanding. How does it work? Why does it work? Why do we have to write this, and so on? And that will basically give you the confidence to go and clear the programming interviews as well. I'm pretty sure if you practice, provided you also have to practice, not just listen the sessions, but practice n number of things, and then you'll become expert over there. So it is not something, even I have like 12 plus years of experience, right? I have been teaching the playwright course from the last 4 years, but still I have been rejected in the playwright courses itself, playwright interview itself. That is what I said. It might not be your mistake, but sometimes you get rejected due to n number of reasons. Okay, so do not worry for that. You just have to practice, and you'll become good at the programming as well.
And sir, one more question. Like I have 2 years of gap. So is it HR will call
That's fine,
me?
that's fine. Nowadays, if any one of the HR is calling and asking you why do you have 2 years of gap, you do not join in that organization. Nowadays, it becomes a versatile. Organizations are looking out for your skill, not for your background. Okay, so basically they are looking out for your skill, not for your background, whatever they are trying to ask.
So they are not means feedback, giving any feedback to whatever means we
That's
have.
their mistake. That's their mistake. If you go for TCS, if you go for HCL is not asking nowadays, but if you go for still TCS, they'll ask you why are there a gap and so on. So most of the organization, 90% of the organization nowadays do not consider what is your background. Okay, I have seen one of my student have not completed graduation and he has received the job. They have not even like the organization have not even asked whether you completed your graduation or not. Okay, so that is how the situation is happening in the market right now. So they'll not ask your.
Praveen sir, just a quick question: how to stand out, right, for our resume from competitors, right? Like
We'll show you how do you prepare a resume. I have also given a sample resume over here. You basically have to see nowadays the resume have been validated by the bot AI system. Okay, so if your resume is not matching along with the job description, that might be getting rejected over there. So we'll show you depending on the job description what you have to add inside your resume. That will also be taken care inside our courses.
Thank you.
Any other question from anyone else over here?
Praveen,
Yes.
I have a question. I already
Yes.
shared some error in the chat. Can you please have a look in Q&A?
Okay.
Just now also shared. I'm using Mac. Okay, I'm unable to use that commands which you used npm install -g TypeScript.txt6.
So did you set that command that I have given?
Yes, it's not even working.
Okay, not an issue. So I'll just connect with you to set it up this. Whenever you'll be free. Are you in India or outside of India?
Okay, fine.
No, are you in India or outside of India?
India only.
India. Okay. So let's connect in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can ping on my number. You'll get my number over there inside the group. You can ping me and we'll connect it over there to resolve whatever the issue that you have.
Okay. Okay, bro.
Okay. Great. Any other question over here?
Hi, Praveen.
Yes.
Are you going to share that Google Drive link?
Yes. You have to share your email address and I'll provide you the access over there.
And where we need to share the email address?
Either if you are able to type it inside the group, then you can do it. If you're not, then you can directly ping me on my WhatsApp number or any of these 3 numbers that you can utilize.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Great. How do we handle 90 days? You do not have to go through with the 90 days notice period. Once you become confident that you can clear the interviews, you can easily get the job, and then basically you can play with the notice period. I'll tell you how do you have to play with the notice period. Yes.
Hey Praveen, so what is your WhatsApp number which is ending with 5105?
Okay. Any other question that we have? TS node is
Hello,
another.
am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So Praveen, what's your WhatsApp number? I mean, which is ending with 5105?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Akshara, if you are getting TS node kind of things, you can again ping me and I'll connect with you to resolve the issues over there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you can simply ping me and ping. Okay. Any other question? I'll wait for 2 more minutes and then we'll end up our session over here. So any other question that you have, feel free to ask. Okay. Yes.
What is the designation we will get for this job role? Currently, I'm working on manual testing, so I have 8 years of experience. But my current role is in QA analyst.
So there are different types of depending on the organizations. there are different types of role. They'll make it as STIT, they'll make it as or test automation, or they'll make it as QA lead, or they'll also give you a role as STIT lead as well. Okay. So depending on the level of experience that you have. So then that's it then. Thanks a lot everyone for joining the session today.
Thank you, Praveen sir. One last thing, what are you going to cover tomorrow? Like, we'll start the basics.
I'll just talk about.
Yeah,
Hopefully it might be helpful. Was a basic things, it might be helpful. But if you have any kind of questions, feel free to ask. Shaili, again, you can just run that particular command to resolve the issues. You can restart your Visual Studio Code once after executing that code and see if it is getting resolved. If it is not, you can ping me, I'll connect with you. Okay, so regarding the next session that we'll be conducting tomorrow, we will be going through with variables in JavaScript and TypeScript. So we'll understand the variables part in our next session tomorrow. And at the same time, we'll also be starting with data types in TypeScript if time permits. But generally, we'll start with variables to understand how do we declare variable, what are different ways in which we can declare variable in TypeScript. Okay. So